PG&E's monopoly territory is home to 17 million people.
Families already struggle to pay their bills.
PG&E was convicted of 91 felonies.
Really? I mean, what's next?
Greybeard Talks Solar. He is SolarWise.
Welcome to the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. This is a place where a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning sunshine into some serious savings for you. And today's show is all about, I've probably had 600 or more solar installations in my career. I've got a little bit of expertise on what works and what doesn't work. And today's show are 4 examples where solar just won't work for the homeowner. It's 4 situations I've encountered, and when I do encounter these situations, it's just throw your hands up, tell the homeowner, listen, I don't think solar is going to be able to help you meaningfully and significantly reduce your energy bill exposure. So I'm going to run through that 4 list today, talk about the situations, talk about the circumstances, just so you're aware. If you have one of these situations, it's just not going to work. So please like, share, and subscribe. Smash those buttons if you're so inclined. If you like the content during today's video, we post these videos every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And so let's jump into the situation. So in 600 plus transactions over the course of about 5.5 years now, here's the situations that I would outline are really, really troublesome for solar. So the first one I'm going to talk about specifically in PG&E territory in Northern California or in the mountainous terrains is any situation where your property has 150 foot tall pine trees around the property. So here's what I would say. If you've got pine trees or large trees within a 100 to 100 foot and 50 foot radius of your home, solar is going to be wildly inefficient for you. It's not that you can't put panels on, and it's not that some solar installation companies aren't going to sell solar to you, but I'm just saying in terms of the effectiveness of the panels, what you're going to do is you're going to take a normal, highly functioning, highly efficient panel, and you're going to reduce it to about maybe 30 to 40% of its maximum amount of generation if you've got tree coverage. Obviously, the nemesis of solar is shade. It's the one thing that we cannot generate electricity if the panels are shaded. And so if you've got very, very large trees, what ends up happening is as the sun rises, the trees adjacent to either the east or the west of the house are going to significantly shade the roof. Okay. And it takes until the sun gets up, depending on the height of the trees, maybe until 11 a.m., 10:30, 11 a.m. before it starts to hit some of the panels. And then depending on your tree coverage, about maybe 3 or 4 p.m., it starts to then shade because it's, rises in the east, sets in the west. And so it hits those trees on the other side. So effectively, it's almost like the eye of a hurricane. You only get real solar exposure on that roof for maybe 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on the situation. So if you take the total amount of available sun, like for example, in the summertime, upwards of 14, 15, 16 hours, depending on the month of sun exposure, and you're going to limit it to maybe 4, 5 hours at best. And so, anytime we see massive trees around a property, that's troublesome. And some of you might go, well, I've got a little field, I've got a little open area, couldn't we put the panels there? Even with ground-mounted systems, what a lot of people don't realize is those trees are especially troublesome because you've got a trench from your main service panel to wherever that ground mount array is going to be located. And trees can be very problematic with their root systems in terms of trenching. And effectively, that's a no-go. And then sometimes people think that there should be more, available energy generated from an open area like that. But when you take a ground-mounted system, the closer you are to the ground, the more the height of the trees around that area will impact and shade the system. So even ground mounts struggle. For example, if the panels were way up on a roof, the roof's higher, you're 20, 30 feet up, depending on the situation and the roof exposure, maybe you'd actually get better sun on the roof than you would on the ground, depending on the open area. So that's point number 1. If you've got a massively shaded roof, don't even consider it. Solar's not going to pencil for you. It's not going to generate what you need. You need a lot more panels to generate just that little bit of energy. And so we've found it just doesn't pencil well for that particular homeowner. So let me give you another example. Mobile homes. Okay. Mobile homes are not something that we've been able to specifically install solar on, especially if it's not a fixed foundation. Now, if you have a fixed foundation, there are options. There could be a possibility of benefiting from solar with a mobile home if you're on a fixed foundation. But if you are in a mobile home park where your trailer or your home can easily move or be removed from that particular park, it's going to be difficult to benefit from solar in that type of a situation. It's difficult to mount on the roofs of these types of homes. Some homes don't have any attic access. It's just, maybe 8-10 inches of insulation between the interior roof and the exterior roof. And we've just found it doesn't work really well on mobile homes that don't have a secured foundation. Now, let's say your property's out, you got 2-3 acres, you've got a manufactured home on 2 or 3 acres on a fixed foundation, no shade issues. That type of a situation, we can definitely add solar to that particular situation and make sure it pencils. But effectively, any other mobile home situation is going to be really, really challenging to install solar on and benefit from it. And so let's move on to point number 3. So just for some context before I get into point number 3, let me just share this. The average home in California uses about 11,600 kilowatt hours of energy per year. Let's just bump that up, assume it uses 12,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year. So roughly an average of 1,000 kilowatt hours a month. That's the average home in California. Now, I don't have any statistics on what that means in terms of size of house, number of bedrooms, age of home, square footage, anything. Right? That's just the total amount of energy generated, consumed in California by the number of houses. So about 12,000 kilowatt hours. So here's where the third instance where solar would not really benefit most homeowners today, and that is really low usage. And so I'll define really low usage as, 50% of that number or less. So if I run into a homeowner that's using, let's say, 6,000 kilowatt hours of energy per year or less, half the average amount consumed by a normal house in California, I found that the situation's such that low usage makes solar really not pencil, and primarily it does not pencil because of the recent change in California that occurred in 2023, where the buyback credits or the export credits that you get for sending excess energy to the utility are a fraction of what you would normally get. So here's a better way to explain it. Prior to April of 2023, most solar systems didn't need batteries. Now, batteries don't make energy. They just store energy, okay? But batteries are really expensive. They don't make energy, they store energy. And so if you have utility charges, if you're trying to escape your utility charges, the best way to consider to do that is to have a system that makes a lot of energy. So prior to 2023, everybody could get the benefit of solar, anybody, even small systems, because all you had to do is add 5 panels or 6 panels. If your system was small enough, you could just add panels. And effectively, the buyback credit that you got was 1-to-1. So older homes, you might find a neighbor or have a neighbor that has 7 panels on the roof or 6 panels on their roof, really low energy usage. In that type of a situation, they were able to benefit from because they didn't need batteries. Now, if you take that same situation, 5, 6, 7 panels, and now add a $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 battery installation. And again, batteries add cost, but they don't make energy. They just store energy. So if you're adding now a battery to that particular system, you're going to be in a situation where effectively you have a lot more cost for very little generation and very little exposure to the utility. So the payback is really, really long in that type of a situation. So if you're under 6,000 kilowatt hours of usage, especially since now you need to have battery storage, and there's 2 disadvantages of a small system like that. A small system like that probably will not properly charge a battery every single day. When you think about all the seasons throughout the year, all the different months, the maximum generation where it has the best chance of charging that battery fully is in the summertime, but you go to fall or spring or winter where the sun's out meaningfully less hours in the day, and more than likely that 6-7 panel system won't fully charge the battery, which could put that battery at additional risk of premature failure down the line. line. Kind of like if you only charge your cell phone to 65% every single day, what would that do to the battery life, right? So small systems are particularly troublesome for solar. It's not that they can't work. It's not that you can't generate energy. It's just that it really doesn't pencil as well, either with cash-owned systems or with power purchase programs. It just doesn't seem to pencil as well, or it takes forever to get your money back, or the savings isn't significant or meaningful, or potentially it could be a little bit more expensive. So really small systems, those are a concern. The last point I want to talk about is really small roof area. So imagine in your mind like a city property, a condo situation. Let's say you got a 3-story house. It's very narrow and tall, where you've got very, very limited roof area to install and or benefit from solar. I've had these types of situations come up where I've seen a 2-story, 3-story house, small footprint, really small roof, and effectively you can't add enough panels to the system to cover the expected jeopardy that you've got from the utility. In other words, let's say I'm using that 12,000 kilowatt hours, but I can only put up 8 panels. That's not going to cover 12,000 kilowatt hours of usage. So you're going to make a little bit of a dent in your exposure, but you're not going to fully cover your energy usage, which is the number one goal of having solar. So in that type of a situation, we just really say to the homeowner, listen, the roof print is the roof print. The amount of energy, the amount of real estate that we've got is the amount of real estate we got, and solar will more than likely not benefit you if you move forward with it, because we can't add enough coverage to make it work for you. So those 4 situations with over 600 transactions that I've been a part of in a little over 5 years, those 4 situations are the ones that are the most troublesome to us, and really an indication of where solar probably wouldn't be a great investment for you. So I hope this information has been helpful. This is the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. This is a place where a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning sunshine into some serious savings for you. If you'd like to work with us or explore solar with us, very simply, all you got to do is text YouTube to 84503, and we'd love to connect with you. Again, text YouTube, that word YouTube, to 84503, and we'll be in touch. And please, if you will, press that like, share, and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel. And if this information shared today was something that you learned, something that piqued your interest, and a kernel of wisdom that you didn't have before, then by all means, share it with others that might think the same thing. So thank you for watching the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. I'll see you same time, same place next week, right here.
Thanks for listening to SolarWise, Greybeard Talks Solar. Please visit our website, SolarWiseCO.com, to learn more. And we will see you next time on SolarWise.